In this video, we are going to create a Fast API app and we will use MongoDB as a database. So welcome to my channel. My name is Rahul. Let's get started with coding. So first let's create a directory and then we will create the Python environment as well. mkdir and then Fast API cd, right? And inside this we want to create our Python environment as well. So Python 3, then we have -m, venv and venv. Yeah, our environment is also created. Let's open our code editor. So code dot. Okay, so let's activate our environment first. For that, source to venv, then bin, right? And inside this we have our activate. So this has activated the environment. Now let's install all the dependencies. So here we are going to use first Fast API, then uvcon, and then we use PyMongo. So let's install all these three. So pip install Fast API, then we have uvcon, and next is PyMongo. We are going to use PyMongo for connecting it with our MongoDB cluster. So PyMongo, right? So all our dependencies are installed. So now let's start coding. For this, let's create a new file named main.py. So main.py, and in this first let's import Fast API app. So we can write here from Fast API import Fast API, and further we have to initialize an app with this. So we can write here app equals and then Fast API and save this. Now let's write a get request and we can use this as our home page. So for that we have to write here at app.get, and in this we need to pass what string will be our home page. So let's keep it / only for now. And this is going to be a asynchronous function. So we can write here async, and then we can write def, and let's define the name. So let's keep it as home page. Okay, and in this we'll simply return a message and just write here hello world, right? And let's save this. Now to run a Fast API app we have to use uvcon. So let's clear the console and write here uvcon, and then inside main we want to use app. So this is our app here. So we can write here main:app, and also we are going to use reload option here because we want to reload this page every time we make some changes. So we can simply write -- reload, right? And let's see. So here we can see our server is on. Let's go to our web browser and see what we are getting at this localhost 8000, right? So we'll simply paste the path and yeah, let's test this. Here we can see as expected we are getting message and hello world. So this was very basic of Fast API. Now let's move and connect our Fast API with MongoDB cluster. For that we have to first create our MongoDB cluster. Let's go to MongoDB's official website. I'll provide the link in the description, right? So we'll quickly log in with our Google. So we'll use Google here. I accept and submit. Now we have to fill all this form. So I'll just quickly do that. So let's keep AI model for now and just pick anything. Now in this we are going to use this M0 because this is a free model, and let's go on this. From provider we are going to select AWS, and it will automatically select our region. Currently I'm in India, so it is showing here Mumbai. So yeah, let's give the cluster name. So we can pass here Viticoder, and I think it's all set. Let's create this cluster. We can simply click on this finish. Now from here we get an option to add data, or we can use load sample and data modeling. So if you are new and you want to perform CRUD operation, you can use load sample data, and MongoDB will provide you a set of documents using which you can learn MongoDB. But here, as we're using it in our app, so there is no need to select anything from this. Now we can directly click on this connect. Here it gives option to where we want to use this MongoDB cluster. So right now we want to use it in our code. So we have to go with this drivers. So click on this and we can select Python from here. Let's keep this as it is. Now let's copy this because we have to install this, right? So let's go and install this in our Fast API, right? We can simply paste and run this and install SRV. Okay, so it has already installed, so no issues, right? And let's restart our server. I have closed it to install this, right? So server is working fine. So in third step, we can see we have an option view full code sample. So let's click on this and copy whole code from this and paste it in our app. So let's create another file named configurations. So configurations.py, and inside this we'll paste the code and we'll remove all this unnecessary code because we just want the database. So this is a code which connects our database cluster with our app. Now let's create the database and its collection. So for that we can write db equals client.tododb. So this will create the database, and further we want the collection to be created. So we can write here collection equals db, and in this we want to create it. So let's write here to do and data. So this code will create a collection named to do data. Now let's write our models for to do app. So for that we'll create a folder named database, and inside this we'll create a file named models.py. Okay, and in this models.py we are going to use pydentic first because this pydentic will help us validate all our data that is going to be saved in our database. So from pydentic import base model. Now let's quickly define our to do class. For that we can write here class and then to do. This is going to inherit the base model. So we can write here base model, and further we are going to define the model. First thing that we need here is the title. So we can write title, and this is going to be of type string. Then we have description, and this again will be of type string. After this we have whether this task is completed or not. So for that we are going to use is completed, and this will be of type boolean. And let's define its default value as false. So we can simply write here false. Copy this and let's define is deleted here. We are going to use this is deleted field for soft deleting the data. Now we have all these fields. Along with this, we are also going to update and create the DB. Now, along with all these fields, we are also going to update and create document. For that, let's define their timestamps as well. So here we can write creation, and this is going to be of type int. We'll store the epoch time here. This will be equal to int, and we can write here date time. So we have not imported it right now, so let's import it first. So from date time import date time, and here we are going to use the timestamp function of this. So datetime.timestamp, and in this we'll pass datetime.now. So this will save the timestamp with default timestamp, right? Let's copy this and paste it again. Rename this as updated at and save this information. Now let's define the schemas for this using which we are going to communicate with our database. So we'll simply write here schemas, right? And in this we are going to define two functions. First is individual data, and this will take the to do. Now in this we are going to return all our data in dictionary object, right? So first we have is ID, as MongoDB stores the ID in form of object ID. So here we are going to typecast it first and then we'll use it. And after this we are going to give the title, and for title we are going to take this from the to do itself. Then similarly for description, and then we have the status, and status is completed or not. So this will be the individual data. Every time we fetch something from the database, we'll get only these many objects from it, because at times we don't need all the information. We just need data that the user is interested in. In that scenario, this comes in the picture. And after the individual data, and after this we are going to give the list data. So that will give all the data from the documents and convert it into this dictionary objects, right? So let's define that function as well, and we can write here all data, and this is going to take all the to-dos, and here we can simply return a list, and we can do list comprehension in this. This is going to return this individual data. We'll pass to-do inside it, and this to-do is for to-do in to-dos. So this will reiterate this to-dos, and after that it is going to create this dictionary and return the same in a list. So we'll save this information, and now we are all set to write the APIs. So let's go back to the main app. So now let's remove this because this was just for the testing purpose, so we can remove it. So yeah, and along with app we also need app router. Let's import the router as well. So we can write here API router. We also have to initialize it. So router equals API router. Now at the end of this file we have to include all these router to this Fast API app. So let's do that here, app.include routers, and in this we'll pass router. So let's copy and paste it here. So now let's define the get request, and in this get request we are going to return all the to-dos that are stored in our database. So for that, at router dot get, and we have to define the path. So let's keep slash here, and now we can define the function. So this will be a asynchronous function, async def get all to-dos, and this will not take anything as an input. Now to fetch everything from our database we have to import the collection here. So from configurations, import collection. So now let's write a query that is going to fetch everything. Data equals collection dot find, and if we pass blank in this find, it is going to return everything. And if we add certain queries, like if we want to fetch on the basis of IDs, we can pass it here, and in that scenario it will just return those documents which satisfies that condition. But here, as we want everything from it, so we'll pass blank, and then here we can write return, and we will use the schema that we have defined here. So in this scenario we need all tasks because we have the to-dos here. It will return a list of documents. So let's go back, and here we can write return, and we'll paste the function. It is not imported, so let's import it as well from database dot schemas import all tasks, and in this we can pass in this data. Right, let's save this. As we don't have anything in our database right now, so it will not return anything. Let's define the post function, and then we can go on the Swagger page of Fast API and we can check everything there, right? So let's define the post here. So for that we have to again define a post request at router dot post, and let's keep this also as slash, so its path is also slash. Now we have to define the function. This is also going to be a async function, so async def and create task. So this is going to create a task here. Let's remove this colon from here. So in create task we are going to get the data, right? So this data has to be of type to do that we have defined in this model, right? For that we can write here new task and colon to do. As this is also not imported from our models, let's import this. So for that, from database.models import to do. Now we have to create a to do task using this new task here. We'll write response equals collection dot. So here we want to insert only one object, so we will use MongoDB's insert one function. So collection dot insert one, right? And in this we'll pass in this new task. So we'll just simply copy and paste, and this has to be a dictionary object. So we'll simply parse it to dict. Now let's put this inside try and except. So we can write try, and here we have to write except, exception as E, right? Now to send this error message, we have to import HTTP exception. So let's import it from Fast API itself. So HTTP exception, and here we can return HTTP exception, and in this we are going to send status code as 500 and then detail as f string. So in this f string we'll define that error has occurred. So some error occurred, and then we'll pass in the error message here. So simply write E. So now if this inserted one query works properly, it will return us a inserted ID. So we have to return that to the user. And if something went wrong and some error occurs, in that case, we are handling it in this exception case. Okay. So if everything is success, let's define the return here. So return, and in this we can pass in a dictionary, and first will be the status code. So, and code, this is going to be 200 because this is a success. Then we have the ID that needs to be returned. So we can simply say ID, and this will be resp.inserted ID. So resp.inserted ID, and this has to be this will be an object ID, so we have to parse it to string. So let's parse it to string, right? str, and save this. So now let's go to our Swagger and verify it. So this is our normal localhost 8000, and here we can see we have an empty list. So this is returning an empty list because we don't have currently anything in our database. So let's go to the docs, which is the Swagger for Fast API. So /docs, and here we can see all our APIs created. So let's go to post, because as saw earlier, we don't have anything. So let's try this out. In this we can write Fast API, and here in description we can write tutorial. All this are the default values. So let's send this request. So execute. Correct. Here we can see we have got our object ID. So with this, the new document is inserted. Now let's verify it through our get request. So let's close this. Now from get request, let's send this and see. Try it out and execute. So it gives some error. Let's check the error, what is wrong with this. So here we can see we are using name in the to do. So let's go back to our schemas and change this name to title, right? And save. Right now our server is working fine. Let's go back to Swagger and verify. So simply click on execute. Here we can see our first task that is created, and it shows the status as well, that it is false right now, which means it is not completed, and description and title are also present. So this way we have completed create and retrieve operations. Let's go and write the update request as well. Now let's define the update task function, which is going to edit our task. This will again be a async function. So async and def update task. In this we will pass first the task ID. So we can write here task ID. This is going to be of type string, and then we are going to pass the updated task, which is going to be of type to do. So updated task, and here we can see we have not defined the route for this. So let's copy this and define the route for update task as well. So this will be a put request, and in this we are going to take the task ID. So we'll pass here task ID, and same task ID is going to be passed here. So this will be string. Now let's define the function. So here again we are going to use try except, and let's write except as well, right? And just write pass for now. Now to update the task, we have to first check whether this task ID is proper or not. So for that we have to first parse it into object ID, and then we'll fetch document with this. If that document exists, then only we are going to update it. Otherwise we'll return error to the user. So for importing object ID, we have to use basin. So from basin dot object ID import object ID, and here we can write ID equals object ID, and in this we will parse the task ID here. So task ID, and now we can search for the existing document. So we can write here existing, and this will be collection dot find one, and in this we can write ID colon and ID. Also we only have to find the non-deleted entries, as we are soft deleting entries in this. So we have to write another query which will be is deleted colon false. and this will be again in quotes. So we can write here if not existing doc, which means existing document. In that scenario, we will return an error. So we can just copy this part from here and paste this. So this will be 404 because we don't have that particular document. So we can write here task does not exist. Task does not exist. And if this exists, in that scenario, we are going to update it. So we can write here resp equals collection.update1. This is another function from MongoDB using which we can find a query and then we can update it accordingly. So simply we can write here collection.update1. Right? And this will first define the query, that is ID, and this will be equal to ID:ID, and this takes the next argument with what we want to update. So here we are going to create another dictionary, and this will write $set. In this we can pass in the updated task. So we can simply copy this and paste here, and this again has to be parsed to dictionary. So we can write dict here. Also, in our models, we have defined updated at. So let's define this here as well. So for that, task dot updated at, and this will take the current timestamp. So we can write here datetime dot now. We have to import datetime as well. So we can write from datetime import datetime, right? And save this. Now in our models, we have set this updated at as an integer field. So let's convert it into timestamp. So datetime.timestamp, and we'll then pass in this datetime.now. At the end, we are going to return if everything goes fine and we receive a success response. In that scenario, we'll simply say return, and here again we are going to pass in another dictionary with status code as 200 and comma, and we can define a message here, that is task updated successfully. Task updated. So now let's define this exception as well. So let's copy this code from here and paste it. Okay, and save. Now let's go back to our Swagger and verify this request. We'll refresh the Swagger, and now we can see that after get we have this put request. So let's first run the get request to get some ID from there, right? So we'll just copy the first ID that we have, and then in put request, let's try this out, and here we can pass in the task ID, and in updated one, let's pass here Fast API tutorial, and in description we can write create tutorial. Okay, and now let's test whether this is working fine or not. So execute. Right, so on executing we find that it says task does not exist. Let's go back to our code and see why it gives this error. Now here in this code we can see that we are using ID. That's why it was giving us the error task not found. Instead we have to use underscore ID. This is my bad, right? So we'll update it here, and also at place of update one we are using ID. Let's replace this with underscore ID and save this function, and let's check this again, right? So let's execute this. We see that task is updated successfully, right? So now let's go back to the get request and check this also. So try it out, execute, and perfect. So here we can see our title is updated along with the description. And this is how we have completed our update task as well. Now let's move and write the last operation, that is the delete operation. So let's go back to the code. And here again we have to write another function. So let's define the routes first. So add router and dot delete, and its route is going to be again kind of same as the put API. So slash, and in this we are taking the task ID. So task ID, and let's define the function. This is going to be async again, and async def, and we can write a delete task, right? And in this we are going to take the task ID itself. So task ID, and this will be of type string. In this scenario also, we are going to first check whether this task exists or not. This delete request is also going to be kind of same as our update request. So let's copy this fully and we'll paste it inside this delete request, right? And what needs to be changed in this is that here we don't need this updated task, so we can delete it. Now in this update one, we are going to pass is deleted as true, as we are using soft delete method. So here we are going to only update a key which says is deleted true, and here we can pass in is deleted as true, right? And save this. Here we can say task deleted successfully, right? And suppose if you want to delete this permanently from your database, in that scenario, instead of using this update one, you can simply use delete one, and that is going to delete it from the database. But it is a good practice to use soft delete instead of hard delete. That's why we are using this is deleted as true to just soft delete the documents. Now let's verify this delete request and see whether everything is working fine or not. So let's go back to our Swagger. Let's reload this first. Now in this get request, if we see, we only have one entry, right? Let's create a dummy entry right now with this try request. So we'll execute this, right? Now we see this is created. So let's copy this ID. Now let's go back to our get request and see whether it is created or not. So we'll execute this again. And here we can see we have created it multiple times. So let's delete the last entry that is present. So we'll copy this and go to our delete request here, try this out. And in this we can paste the ID that we have copied. Let's execute this. So this is task is deleted successfully. Now, as we know that this task is deleted. Now let's redelete this and see what exactly our app does. So we'll execute this. So now this time it says task does not exist because we have handled this case in our code itself. Now at the end, let's again go back to our get request and see we are not getting the deleted entries. So first refresh this, and in the get request here, we can try it out and execute. Here we can see we are getting all the entries, which means that we have not handled the soft delete method. So let's go back to our code and solve this. Here in the get request, we can see we are considering all the requests. So here we can see we are simply writing find instead is deleted false underscore deleted, and we can write false here. So this will fetch only those documents which are available to us, and go back and re-execute this. Now in this scenario, we only get two IDs, which means now we are properly handling the delete scenarios as well. So this was all about the Fast API. So in this way, we have successfully created APIs for all our CRUD operation, that was create, update, retrieve, and delete, right? Now, I hope by end of this tutorial, you are able to create your first Fast API app and use it in your project as required. If you like this tutorial, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and comment down below if you want more tutorials like this. Thanks for watching.